I see that we have our state representative, Travis Clardy, on the line. Travis, would you like to give us some updates by chance?
Yeah, Kelly, but you can go ahead and turn the tape off. But no, I'm teasing. Go ahead and record this. Not that there'll be that much memorable said. Following up on Betty's comments, the governor's press conference at 2 o'clock today. I've had some success finding it, by the way, on either the NBC affiliate on cable that gets picked up by those stations around the state. They have been, but I'm not sure if this will be televised statewide. Otherwise, just go to the Governor Abbott Facebook page, and they'll be streaming it live on Facebook. But I am looking forward to his comments today. I'm hoping we'll continue the march towards full reopening of the economy. I know that there have been a lot of news reports about the increase in the rates of COVID cases around the state. A couple of comments on that. One is that in our area, that really does not seem to be happening. We've had a slight increase in numbers, but really very limited, and not a corresponding increase in hospitalizations, and certainly not those patients requiring ventilators or intensive care. So ours locally, ours is different than the rest of the state, but even statewide, although the cases have increased by a percentage, that's an easier number to skew. It makes a more, I hate to say it, but inflammatory headline. But the raw cases, as total cases, really has stayed flat, plateaued. There's been an increase, but that was always expected. So there really is no shock here, and I'm sure the governor will address that. That said, it's still a serious concern. There is some, overall concern about the people congregating in place. I have less concern about those congregating at church than I do about those congregating, in protest and doing vandalism and hooliganism. But that's a subject for another day. Perhaps this Friday, when I do my 3 o'clock Facebook Live program, we'll probably touch on that. But I also expect we're going to touch on another issue that I hope the Governor Abbott will talk about today, and that has to do with nursing homes. Usually Judy sits in on these calls with me, but she's on the phone with her dad, who's being moved from a rehab center after having a surgery back to assisted living. And the difficulty of coordinating it when you can't be directly involved because you can't be in those facilities and, precluded from going in. And I get the concern, and we do need to take heightened precautions in long-term care facilities. But still, we can't help but wonder about the negative effect this has on families and this, disassociation of long-time family contact and the health impact that has on people's health, both physical and mental. So, a lot of us are dealing with this issue. We're going to talk about this Friday about some of the proposals. So I really am hoping that the Governor Abbott will address this. I know a lot of other members are getting this calls. I think Jerry Jones is on this call with me. And I think it's fair to say this has probably been between her and myself and my chief, Sloan Byerly. This is probably the number one concern that we get from constituents. Is when can I get back in to see my mom, my dad, my granddad, my grandmom? We need to go see him. So I hope that issue will be talked about by the governor today, and that we keep moving forward in the direction we're going. Otherwise, things seem to be settling down. Again, once again, I want to brag on Chief Seavey, Sheriff Bridges, and our law enforcement community, the way things have been handled. As I would have expected, it's been done, professionally and responsibly, and those expressing their points of view are doing the same thing. I know we had a little hiccup at the courthouse, but again, at the end of the day, cooler heads prevailed, and nothing regrettable happened. So, I think we're on the right track. We're going to keep moving, continue to reopen. I think hopefully that we'll be able to look at some of these other issues. Another constituent issue which comes up has to do with the monuments and our history, and this kind of sea change and conflation of issues about what we're going to do with those memorials, particularly in my view, but other things that have been put in public places, and their role in preserving history, continuing history and heritage, and or their appropriateness based upon location, etc. I will tell you that if anybody's seen the video of the the one protester from England who was asked about Winston Churchill said, well, she didn't know whether she should stay or go because she hasn't met him yet. I think highlights the fundamental problem, I think, in this issue, and that most people either don't know their history, don't care about their history, don't want to take the time or put in the effort to learn their history, and that these are rash, knee-jerk decisions based upon a mob mentality and are not in any way reasoned or designed to have a thought process about, what role these things should have. We talked about this at the Kelly, if you'll remember, the Lone Star Legislative Summit a couple years ago, and had a very good, enlightened, positive discussion and, countervailing points of view. That's what needs to happen. This needs to be a deliberative process and not some rush to judgment. I've got some sketching out some ideas on how that should look and what should be the kind of the guidelines. But, these things weren't put up overnight. There was a lot of thought given by people in their time and in their context with great, appreciation for their history as they knew it and understood it, and effort to do it and plan it and put it in. And I don't think they should be pulled down under cover of darkness, with the lack of efficient or effective law enforcement in those locations by some, idiots that don't know any better. So anyway, that's one man's opinion. I think that is shared by the vast majority of the people within House District 11. So, but would welcome your thoughts and comments on that, so we can touch on that Friday at 3. Otherwise, Kelly, I think that's it. And one question for you. I couldn't get the camera on today. That's bad for me. I guess good for everybody else watching, since you can't see me. But are we going phone only on this call?
Well, it looks like we are, Travis, but that wasn't our intention.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Okay. Well,
yeah, we were starting up the meeting. Our president, Wayne Mitchell, is also on the call. You're just not hearing him right now. And
okay.
You're correct. You're not seeing anyone at this moment.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure I wouldn't miss anything. I mean, if I'd known it's just going to be a telephone, I wouldn't have taken a shower and shaved this morning. So, but I guess that's probably a good thing. But I'll take any questions y'all have, and appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Okay.
Thanks, Kelly.
Well, if you're willing to take questions, does anybody have anything for Representative Clardy? Okay, next on our agenda, we would enjoy hearing economic development updates. That might be our president of the EDC, Larissa Philpot, and I know Larry Kane is also on the call. He might have some updates for us after Larissa. Welcome you both. I see Larissa's name on the list, but she may not be able to speak. Larry, can you give us an update, and maybe Larissa can come on a little later?
Yes, this is Larry Kane. I'm assuming you can hear me. Kind of feel like I'm talking to myself here, but we'll continue
we can hear
all the
you,
time
Larry.
Anyway. Okay. There is an announcement on the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. For the last several weeks, the only people that have been able to apply in that disaster loan situation were agricultural borrowers, farmers and ranchers, and I helped a few of those get their application in, and they were actually getting very fast responses from the SBA, which is great. As of yesterday, they've now opened up the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program again, where they're accepting applications from all small businesses that qualify, and also nonprofits. So you can go to sba.gov/disaster and fill out that application for a loan. And they're still doing the grant piece of that up to $10,000. It's $1,000 per employee. So that is open again. The other thing is the PPP program that we've heard so much about the last few months. There's still plenty of money available in that program, and I think there's very few businesses that are actually applying right now. Most of the questions are coming about forgiveness. And as you probably know, there have been some recent changes by Congress dealing with forgiveness. A couple of the more important things are that in the past, 75% of the PPP money had to be spent on payroll to qualify for forgiveness. And that amount has now been lowered to 60% must be spent on payroll. And instead of 8 weeks to spend the businesses now have 24 weeks to spend that money. The unfortunate part of that is that most of the businesses have already spent most of the money, but it took a while for Congress to come together and make those changes. I've been on vacation, so I'm not really up to speed on all the details, but I will be getting an update tomorrow from the SBA. So if anybody has any specific questions, you can call or email me. You can call our office number at 633-5400, and I'll be happy to try to answer your questions. The other thing locally, we have money at the SBDC, and we're bringing on board 3 part-time business advisors that will be helping with the recovery for the next 15 months or so. I'm not quite able to announce who those people are yet, but probably by next week I'll be able to do that. We're in the final phase right now of bringing those people on board, and they should be available to help our small businesses in the area with any recovery kind of issues that they're dealing with. A couple of these individuals are former bankers, so I think they'll be very helpful with some of the financing issues that businesses are going to have to struggle with for the next few months. That's all I have right now. Happy to take any questions. If people want to call our office or email me, I'll be sure and get the answers to your questions, especially concerning forgiveness on the PPP. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Larry. We've also posted your number, you'll be glad to know, on our COVID-19 Business Resource Guide page on our website.
One other thing, Kelly, I always, if I could also mention that a good source of information on these issues is the U.S. Chamber website. They have a guide for PPP loan forgiveness, and I would really encourage people to go to that site and print off that guide, and I think that'll answer most of the questions that people have about forgiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I've gotten a couple of updates. Unfortunately, it looks like our technical issues have gone beyond just video. Some of our phone call guests, such as Larissa Philpot, are not able maybe to speak through their phone connection. Larissa, if we can get this corrected, we will certainly welcome you back a little later in the meeting, but we need to go on, and we will hear from our Executive Director of the Nacogdoches Convention Visitors Bureau, Sherry Morgan. Sherry, are you with us? And welcome. Well, Sherry, you usually have a little stronger voice, so maybe there was a problem there. I know that Nancy Windham's on the call, and we did hear from her earlier as we were starting up. Nancy Windham, president of our Texas Forest Country Partnership that certainly spans the region of East Texas. Nancy, do you have updates for us today?
Yes, just quickly, if everybody can hear me. Kelly, am I good? Can you hear me?
Yes, sound great. Okay.
Perfect. Just wanted to let you know that we often receive projects from outside the area looking for certain things, and we are responding to those, responding from a regional perspective. Once those come back in and they hone it down, we'll be reaching out to the individual communities. I believe the last time I reported, we had asked for regional support for a Sabine River Authority. It's a recreational, it's tourism driven, up, and it will be an improvement for the Shelby County site and a brand new recreational facility on the Toledo Bend in Sabine County. I wanted to thank everybody on this call, and for others that did respond, that did send an email or a letter in. The Texas Forest Service received over 300 responses. So that's looking favorable. That will be a great positive for our region and for the state. Also, we're participating in several studies on regional basis. One in particular I wanted to mention this morning out of the UT Austin is a group called the IC2 Institute. Some of you may be familiar with that group, but they've been doing research for over 40 years. And they focus on solving complex problems in society. But they're focusing in on this particular study for small and remote communities in Texas and Louisiana. They sent out a request, and I think, Betty, you're on the call. Betty sent that out, and we had many communities that sent in responded to that request. And I'm proud to say that we have 5 cities and communities in our region that qualified and given an opportunity to participate. And those communities are Grapeland, Ivanhoe, Jasper, Lufkin, and Nacogdoches. And after visiting with the IC2 Institute and talking to them about a regional approach, they have included the Texas Forest Country Partnership also to help them gather some information about the region. So we're very encouraged about that. For those with the media that's on this call, I do have a news release, and I'll be sending that out following this call. Also, we are working with NEDCO on looking for money to pay for a transportation, a logistics study for the entire region, which will help us for projects. And also we need those when we're out looking for grant funding for the region. As you know, NEDCO is working on the broadband studies. I talked to Lonnie yesterday, and he said anybody that was interested in an update on the NEDCO website, there is an update for you to review there. We have advisors for 4 different areas in our strategic plan. One of those areas is healthcare, and Dr. Sid Roberts is over that as an advisor, and he has written, it's called Vision 2030. We just received it the other day and are looking at it, and it would be a regional healthcare. We'll be talking to our board at our board meeting on Thursday about that one. And then I visited with our regional partners, some of our regional partners, but I talked to Mark Duran yesterday, and I think it's probably best that he give an update. That would conclude my remarks. And if Mark, if you're on the call, would you mind updating this group on your reports that you share with us on from Workforce Solutions?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me? Phil Kelly?
Yes, Mark.
Okay.
Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. One of the things that we've done at the workforce is after being closed to the public for about 5 or 6 weeks, we have reopened our workforce centers last week, beginning on June the 8th. Right now, we're trying to do by appointments, but if there's not an appointment that is scheduled and then there's an opening, we'll definitely take walk-ins to our resource room and also with our talent acquisition specialist and helping the job seekers in what their endeavors are. So we are reopened there in Nacogdoches, so we encourage you to start visiting our centers. Also, as Larry said, he had hired some individuals, but we are excited about, we've hired 3, we call them employment relations specialists. As our Texas reopens, we want to reach out to our employers, see what their needs are, what their transitions after the COVID. I know many of them that we are getting calls from now are trying to get their employees to return back to work. I'm not on the phone, so I'm not sure why it's echoing, but it is getting those employees back to work. So our employment relations specialists will be reaching out to our employers, finding out what their needs are. We're looking at some possible apprenticeship programs, other training aspects that we can work with our Angelina College and SFA, and maybe looking at how we can increase the training for those employers. Also in May, we saw about 433 drop. 433 claims. In April, we had 1,467 UI claims in Nacogdoches. In May, we had 1,034. So we are seeing less claims from there. But one of the things you can compare is May of 2019, there was 233 claims. And in May of 2020, there was 1,034, so 811 more claims in 2020 May than in 2019. So the other thing I wanted to mention is the other part of the workforce is our childcare services. In May, we had 6 centers in Nacogdoches that were open. We had 2 additional centers that have now opened in June. We still have 2 that are closed, but one of the grants that the Texas Workforce Commission had was the essential workers. We put 443 children into care for essential workers, and 78 of those were in Nacogdoches County. So those are 3-month where we're paying 100% of that child care to keep those essential workers working during the COVID-19. So I'm open to any questions. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate that report, and thank you too, Nancy. And now we come to a part in our agenda that we enjoy hearing what's going on in our community through Gary Lee Ashcraft, President and CEO of Nacogdoches Area United Way. Gary Lee, are you on the call with us?
I'm here. I love the term social services because that's right down my alley. That was supposed to be funny. So I want to let you all know that the exec team for the Nacogdoches Area United Way meets this afternoon. We'll be evaluating a couple of applications for funding from our COVID-19 fund. These agency leaders are doing everything they can to manage a lot of work. The COVID is not over. We're still seeing families at the food pantries. We're still serving kids at Boys and Girls, and the list goes on. And I know NISD, other people are doing the same. So that's my report for NAUW. I want to turn it over to a very fine chairperson of the Nacogdoches Area United Way, Kenny Rena, whose real job is outreach. She's the exec for outreach for Burke Center. Kenny, are you there?
I'm going to jump in again, Gary Lee. Kenny is with us, but Kenny cannot be heard. But being the kind of Kenny she is, that she's so efficient, she has forwarded a brief statement she would like me to share.
Awesome. I'm going to mute out. Go for it.
And Kenny, along with chairing the United Way here in our Nacogdoches, also works with Burke. And she is announcing that Burke has a federal grant in partnership with the state HHSC to promote a statewide COVID mental health support line. Anyone with anxiety, stress, or any emotional challenges related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Anyone with questions can contact Kenny at Burke, which is 936-558-6246. And she would love to share with groups via virtual or in-person presentation. By the way, I will be posting that on the Chamber's social media sites, Facebook and Twitter, so you can find it there. She has just texted me to read the hotline on the PIC, and I'm opening the PIC, Kenny, and it says, call the toll-free COVID-19 mental health support line, 833, now I see what you want me to read that, 833-986-1919. But we will post that. I'll put it in chat and on the Chamber's social media sites. Thanks for the information, Kenny, and thank you, Gary Lee. Now, moving on, from City of Nacogdoches, we have our Director of Communications and Main Street Director, Amy Mehaffey. Dr. Mehaffey, are you with us? Okay, Amy may not be on or may not be able to speak. Les Linebarger with Nacogdoches Independent School District has a report from us from our education area.
Thank you, Kelly. Right now, Nacogdoches ISD is expecting to restart school on August 24th, which was the date we had originally planned for our 2020-21 academic calendar. There's a couple of caveats with that. Number one, there's still upcoming guidance and direction from Texas Education Agency to take into consideration. Also, as we move closer to that date, we will consider advice from Nacogdoches County health officials as well. That's still a couple of months away, so obviously a lot of things, either good or bad, could happen between now and then. What we don't know right now is what the school year will actually look like. And once again, we've got to wait for some direction from the state on this, namely what they're expecting for social distancing within classrooms, within other facets of the public school. And we'll have to factor those into whether or not we're able to just have everybody within a brick and mortar school, or if there will be some sort of hybrid involved that might include distance learning. At this moment, we don't know, but we hope here in coming days we will receive some of that initial guidance from TEA. Additionally, we are working on our school calendar to build in some flexibility, particularly in the second semester. What that might look like is if there are some closures that have to take place in the fall or the winter, we have some flexibility built into the second half of that calendar so we can make those days up, hopefully, with some face-to-face instruction. As of right now, there's still a whole lot of unknowns, and we certainly hope that come August 24th, we've got as many students as possible within our classrooms, but there's just a few things to hammer out and iron out between now and then.
Thank you, Les. Were there any questions about Nacogdoches ISD operations? Well, I'm going to just loop back around and check in to see if Sherry Morgan with the CBB or Larissa with the EDC would like to give us any updates or able to give us any updates.
Hi, this is Sherry. Can you hear me?
We can, Sherry. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. We are in week 6, I believe, of being back open to the public at the Visitor Center. And 2 Saturdays ago, we had 70 people that came into the Visitor Center. So the word that we're getting, the sentiment that we're getting from the people that are traveling here is encouraging to tourism. We're getting a lot of day trips. The Fredonia is staying busy. Some of our other hotel partners are seeing some more traffic as well. So that's great news, but people just want to get out of the house and they want to travel and they want to go someplace that is safe. So we feel like our marketing message with our partners at the Hancock Agency of the best thing for your insides is to get outside. We're really pushing our nature. We feel like that messaging is really hitting a needed spot right now in our consumer base. So we're really encouraged. We still don't know what our May hotel occupancy looks like. We should be getting those numbers within the next week. But once we get those, then I'll be sure to report and we'll have a better gauge of how we're progressing. Honestly, we really won't know until we get the June numbers, but those numbers are always a month behind. So we're tolling along the best as we can, just tootling along and serving the visitors that we have here and are happy to do it. We do find ourselves, it's only through the grace of our volunteer base that we are able to have weekend hours as well. And as circumstances have it, most of our volunteer base find themselves in one or more of the highly susceptible to COVID-19 groups. So we are looking for volunteers now. And if anybody is interested, you still get one of those really snazzy Be Like Mike t-shirts when you volunteer. But if you have any interest whatsoever in giving back to the community and sharing your love of Nacogdoches, in really engaging in this town that we get to call home in a truly meaningful way, please let us know. You can call us at 564-7351 or reach out to any of our staff members. And we would love to have you here. It's answering the phones and really just talking to people. And if you find yourself on the fence, I encourage you to talk to some of our volunteers from Junior Forum or any of our other volunteers that really were taken aback and taken by surprise at how pleasant it is. And, we become a little blind to the many great things there are about Nacogdoches because we drive the same streets every day, we see the same sights every day, and it's easy to get complacent in all of that. But it is really reinvigorating to see Nacogdoches through fresh eyes of the visitors that come through. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. And that concludes my report.
And reinvigoration is really good right now. Does anyone have anything for Sherry? Any questions or comments? Well, thank you, Sherry. We still have a couple of more minutes available, and I know we have other community partners, folks that are involved in the community that might have updates for us. Would anyone like to briefly give an update in their area?
Kelly, go ahead. Kelly, this is Wayne.
Oh, Wayne, we have Wayne. Hello.
First of all, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I went on the website for GoToMeeting, and apparently nationwide they're having extraordinary problems, and it seems like this 10 o'clock time slot on Tuesdays is problematic for them. But having said that, I appreciate everybody bearing with us today, and I apologize for those who couldn't get through. We'll try to remedy that between now and next Tuesday. Just a couple of quick things. One is, please don't forget the importance of the census. Two, GoToMeeting. We'll get this thing fixed, and I do want to thank our presenters today. Kelly, that takes care of me.
Well, I'm glad we could hear the reports, even if we could not see the reporters. So I just would like to also thank everyone and remind them to go to nacogdoches.org for more information. We have some fun things going on with the census, the 2020 census. Please not only count yourselves, but tell your neighbors, friends, coworkers, employees, and family to also be counted. This is going to affect us for the next decade. This will allocate funding for programs that are very important for our community, and we want to make sure that all the funds are in the Nacogdoches bank that we need and are due. So please remember to complete your 2020 census and encourage others to as well. Did anyone else have any other report?
Kelly, it's Mary with the Pineywoods Apartment Association.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. I just wanted to make a comment that if anyone that kind of missed our registrations for a certified pool operator, that is a 5-year certification for anyone that works with those chemicals and upkeep of a pool or a spa. We have 2 spots left, and it is going to be tomorrow and Thursday here in Nacogdoches. So if anybody's interested, get in touch with myself, ae@pwaa.net. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Unless there's anyone else that wants to interrupt me, I'm going to leave you on a sweet note. You can get East Texas grown blueberries at Brookshire Brothers now, the same blueberries that would have been sold on our beautiful brick streets during the Texas Blueberry Festival are now at Brookshire Brothers stores, grown in a local blueberry farm. And if you're the kind of do-it-yourself person, you can run over to the blueberry place and pick your own blueberries. They are now open 7A to 7P, 7 days a week until they are picked out. So please go get some blueberries. I hear it's a good health food. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm about to end the meeting, and again, part of it was recorded and will be posted later on the Chamber's YouTube channel.